purposeful living is so important. Follow your dreams and passions. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not enough, because you are. Look at all the gurus in the world at this day and age and their hardship stories. They came from absolutely nothing in a lot of circumstances, and used, instead of problems, they created them into challenges.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Welcome to Health in the Real World. So glad you could make it today. My name is Chris Janke. I'm here today with Kurt Widdershoven. Kurt, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Kurt Widdershoven. As Chris said, currently in Calgary, Canada. I spent about 3 to 5 months a year here, maybe a little longer this year than most due to the restrictions and what's going on with international travel. I'm not a huge fan of the winter time. And yeah, I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry over a decade now. And was asked by Chris to come here and give some feedback and advice. And I'm really looking forward to see the topic and conversation that's going to fill through and hopefully provide some value to the general public to be able to take advantage and control of their health and their life.
Awesome. I'm really excited too, Kurt. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And first question for you, so let's say you're at a party or something and somebody admits to you that, hey, I'm not as fit as I need to be. I need some advice. What's the first thing you tell them to do?
I would ask a little bit of a deeper root question and see, why would you want to be fitter? How long have you struggled in these areas? And, what are you currently doing now to work towards that? And, hypothetically looking three months or so down the road, with your goals being realistic, how would it be to be in that position? And I like to emotionally connect, because I find an emotional driver in most circumstances is why people want to fulfill on their health, increase their energy, move their body differently, increase that confidence and self-love. So if someone just asked for initial advice, I would have to ask quite a few questions before I can give a response, especially due to individuality and lifestyles behind people.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's absolutely true, right? Everybody's different. All the information's out there, right? YouTube has millions, if not billions of videos on how to get fit, right? So somebody can do that, but that's great. Those questions, digging a little deeper, making sure you know exactly what their motivation is and things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. So Kurt, what's your favorite exercise?
Favorite exercise? Good question. I like doing stuff upside down these days, but I would say quite conventional stuff these days. I do calisthenics. I do some functional stuff. I do some resistance bodybuilding training as well, practice yoga. And to be completely honest, it depends how I feel on that day. But I still like the compound stuff. I like a good squat and a deadlift, but I also like to use my body functionally and see the power and, control of the body without the gym or the weights. I like to do some outdoor workouts as well as some macro yoga I'm getting introduced to and playing around with. So not a great clear answer to your question. There's such a versatility to just pop in my head to say my number one favorite exercise. There's so many. I don't really have an individualized specific one, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the answer, right? There's not like a clear cut, just like your first question where, what's the one piece of advice that you would give somebody? It's not so clear cut. So I tried to go with the open-ended question. So that was a good answer, even though you didn't, like you said, you're like, I didn't really answer the question, but that's the point. So that's good.
Got it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate that too. Like I'm a big fan of the basics, the squats, the deadlifts, the push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that. Just going on a run, all the basics, right? It's the best.
Absolutely. And I mean, it can be sustainable as well. You don't need, to be in a facility 7 days a week. If you can get outside in the outdoors, do some walking, jogging, swimming, biking, hiking, CrossFit, yoga, F45, if somebody's sustaining what they're doing, I find it more impactful than directly, necessarily. Depends on individualized goals, but programs for some people on a, 5 to 6 day a week basis at a fitness facility doesn't suit, whether
Right.
children, lifestyle, job, and that. But if we're moving our bodies in a direct way of enjoyment and sustainability, we can live a happy, healthy life, long term, opposed to doing something for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and saying, oh, wow, this is too hard. I don't enjoy it. So I find the enjoyment, and when, people move into different areas of movement and recognize, wow, I can do this too. This is cool. Whether it's a bar class or pole dancing, aerial yoga. There's so many different ways to move your body these days and readily available, which is cool. And you can do a lot of it from home.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say, there's a million different ways to get fit. Just pick one or two and just go, right? There's so many different ways. And I think that's one thing that kind of trips people up is that they think that they need to run or they need to lift weights when really in reality there's no need to modality or exercise, right? It's really like you said, it's what do you enjoy, and let's do that. Let's progress your way through that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I myself, if something I didn't enjoy, I'm not going to stick with it for a long period of time. I'm open to try new things. I like to, on a daily basis, try something new, not necessarily just movement. But yeah, if you're moving towards something enjoyable, it's not give me 100 things to do and let me see if I can fulfill it. If you step by step the process, brick by brick, you create a solidified foundation, you can build anything on top of that. And a lot of time, I think, and I'm probably you can relate in certain circumstances, is people want tomorrow, they want yesterday, they want 1 week results, and compare a chapter 1 to a chapter 28 or 30. Years down the road, somebody's progressed and worked very strongly and hard on their health, and they're hoping to get that result overnight. Well, most cases it didn't take that long to get into the position that they're not happy with, so it's going to take a little bit of legwork to be able to create that foundation, which I think is structurally sound. And once you get there, it's what's possible from there is whatever you put your mind to.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of step by step, one step at a time, you said you have been in the fitness industry for over 10 years. How did you get started as a trainer and just in the fitness industry in general?
Yeah, I grew up as an athlete through high school. I played, football, rugby, volleyball, basketball, badminton, baseball, you name it. And I was never intrigued by the gym. I thought it was silly. Some of the boys going to the gym as I don't need this very small guy, fast. That's what I had for me. I was fast and agile. And yeah, in 2006, I lost my mom to cancer, and I took a look at my life and where I was going in the direction. And it wasn't somewhere where I really felt desirable to go towards. I was working the oil rigs. I was partying like a rock star. That was kind of what I led into. And I took a look at the big picture. And the following day, after I saw a photograph of myself one morning, hungover, I said, I got to do something with my health. And I was terrified to go into the gym, but I found an old school little gym with a punch code. You put 20 bucks in the box. And that's where I started. And I noticed in such a short period of time with my mindset and determination to better myself, so many people started to ask questions. What are you doing? Holy wow, you've changed. I went on my first trip to Mexico for a wedding, and people were like, whoa, it was nice to hear the compliments, but internally I felt better. The stress resided. I slept better. And I said, you know what a gift to be able to share. So at first it was like, no, I don't know, this is what I'm doing. And then I just continued to further educate myself, get certifications, start to study further in nutrition and movement. And yeah, it became a passion to see people transform their lives, and knowing the upbringing that I had. And we've all got a back end story, and it wasn't so simple on my end. But if I had the ability to increase and enhance my life through movement, mindset, and nutrition, I feel the world at least deserves to know about it. So yeah, it became a burning desire and passion for people to just get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great story. And actually, I'm going to have you embellish on that a little bit. One of my other questions is, have you ever hit a rock bottom moment? And it sounds like this might be one of those moments. What was happening? And then you mentioned the mindset shift. What kind of mindset shifts did you need to implement in order to take those steps from like way down here to getting compliments at the beach?
Yeah, grew up as an insecure dude. I was always little. I'm ectomorphic, small body type. I'm only 5'9", and the bigger guys, little jokes and stuff, pretending they didn't hurt me as a young guy, But when in fact, deep down in my head, there was a lot of internal dialogue going on about my worth, and that was a big thing I recognized that my mother taught me. And so grateful for that, to be the best you can be, and the acceptance of death that she had, and just to share her positive energy and to tell me to pursue on things that are important to me, stop worrying about the rest of the world's opinions. So the shift in the sense of was my commitment to myself. It wasn't the commitment to the outer world. It wasn't necessarily the commitment to other people, which I drove towards most of my life. And once I started to see that consistent step-by-step implementation and shift in my mind, I felt the progress. And progress for me was what I really understood that was moving me forward. It wasn't the final destination necessarily. I didn't, want some crazy, insane physique, or I wasn't going to go compete on stage or become a professional athlete. But when I saw and noticed, I felt better. and I performed better. Days at work got better. My mood got better. My energy increased. And that was the shift in the mind. If I start to take control of my health and start to do better for me, it started to attract other people and ask, what's going on. And then I started to see others involved in basic implementations and habit creation. And it was like, wow. And it's like, thank you so much for what you did. I didn't do anything. You're the one that made the shift in your mind to set a goal and accomplish it. So, when you commit to yourself, I think it's such a extraordinary thing where you as a father and many other people, with other people that are dependent on them, a lot of time health goes in the back end as a priority. Even as a single guy I was back in the day, it was other things were a priority, chasing chicks, chasing money, working a job and partying, but that didn't fulfill me. It wasn't something I could see sustainable long term. And, after making that shift and choosing me, thinking it was selfish in the past and recognizing how selfless it is. If I perform at my best and I can be my best self, I can be more contribution to other people.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I often tell my clients that your health goal is your number one goal. And then once you get that down, then it just kind of radiates out, right? Your family goals, your financial goals, et cetera, right?
Absolutely.
So Kurt, we all talk to ourselves, right? Uh, we encourage ourselves or we defeat ourselves with our words that go on inside of our head. What are some of the limiting self-talk things that you had going on before you chose to get fit? And then what are some of the self-talk items that you do now that encourage you to do those healthy habits?
Yeah, absolutely. The I'm not good enough was huge, and he's better, she's better, they're better. Just that lack of worth was a big thing. Starting to work at a young age, 13. On my own at 16, and there was quite a struggle and a battle of independence at a young age, and I just wanted more, but I always saw somebody else as better, more superior, faster, stronger, better looking, whatever it may have been. So I just had such a massive internal dialogue of lack of worth. And I didn't even recognize it. It was completely subconscious. I didn't even know it went on in my head, but it was destructing life. And as things started to shift, I started to recognize and acknowledge a little bit more how I did speak to myself. Would I speak to another human being like this? Absolutely not. And it's been years of work, and it is still daily work. Negative thoughts still come up and arise in my mind, but knowing that I'm enough. There was a few years back that I looked in the mirror and became proud of myself for who I am, not for who somebody else thought I was. And when I created that actual acceptance and gratitude for me, the hard work I've put in, what I've been through in my life, and start that side of dialogue, I recognized one morning, I train very early. I get up at 3. I have a morning routine that serves myself. And yeah, I go to bed early too, though. And there was one morning, I'm tired, it's cold out, I don't want to get up, and I vulgarly said something to myself, shut that up, get out of bed. I jumped up and I landed on the floor. I didn't even intend to move my body. It just happened. And then I realized I had control of that internal dialogue. So when those negative thoughts arise, I think comparison, Mark Twain says it very well, is the death of joy. When you compare to other people, and when I catch myself with that nowadays, it's like, I'm never going to be another human being. I can't change another human being. I can't allow another human being to do something or forcefully make somebody do something, but I control my actions and my thoughts. So I am enough is a huge one. I desire to impact the lives of others. And if I don't take care of Kurt as a priority, my health is a priority. In the mornings when I don't want to get up that early, but I know what it does for me in my life. And when that little voice comes in my head in the morning, it's a sense, yes, is this going to serve you? Is this going to allow you to fulfill what you want to fulfill? And sometimes it's a 3-second conversation, Chris. Sometimes it goes on for a few minutes as well. But most cases, I could say I win that battle. But sometimes it still does take over. I think it's an ongoing journey to deal with that self-talk.
Man, I thought I woke up early. I wake up at 5.
5 still
3
early.
a.m. This is, man. Well, I do. I can imagine. I've been in cold weather. I've been in Michigan before, but 3 a.m. in Canada, how much discipline, how much regularity you really have to put, and how much value you need to place on that daily routine in order to keep it going. I think that's fantastic. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's great. All right, I have a final big question for you. So a university has called you to give a keynote speech at their graduation. And so you're going to be talking to a bunch of 21, 22-year-olds about life in general. So not just fitness, but life success strategies, different things that can help them along their path. What is your 1 to 2 minute motivational speech for them?
1 to 2 minute motivational speech for the university. Define your purpose. People, a lot of times I recognize for myself and many people I've had a conversation with is when we define our purpose through our heart instead of our head and figuring out what we enjoy to do, what's going to fulfill us purposefully in life. As an individual, we all have a special gift. And a lot of people, especially at the age of 21, are comparing themselves to others, restricting themselves from opportunity and success, and coming out of university and, jumping into the new world. Are you going to trade your time for money in a job that you're miserable at? Do you intentionally want to fulfill what you just studied? What are the broader areas of life that people want to go into? I feel the comparison factor and the anxiety that people create within themselves over these days, especially through COVID now, that purposeful living is so important. Follow your dreams and passions. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not enough, because you are. Look at all the gurus in the world at this day and age and their hardship stories. They came from absolutely nothing in a lot of circumstances and used, instead of problems, they created them into challenges. And when you overcome challenges, you feel progress in life. And when you are progressing, you're fulfilling as a human being. You can better yourself. If it's 1% every day and you take a step-by-step outlook on life and you're improving and you are there with your friends and family and fulfilling on things that are important to you, you become enough. And when people can recognize that and live a purposeful life and stop worrying about the comparisons and everybody else in the world telling them that they're not, or them telling themselves, and start to recognize that dialogue and just pushing forward and recognizing we all have gifts as human beings. We all have what it takes to live a fulfilled, happy, purposeful life. Don't let others take you down. Do what's important to you from your heart, not your head.
That was great. Thank you for that, Kurt. I appreciate that. What are you working on now? What's your website? How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, mainly nutrition. Now, I did step away from fitness for a while. I've been referring out, but as of the new year, I've had a calling and an inkling to get back into the fitness program side of things. It's mainly nutrition and mindset. I deal with a ton of people around the globe. I'm absolutely passionate to do so, and you never know until a conversation. So right now, recreating a new website. I can be reached on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn under my name, Kurt Widdershoven. It's the same profile picture on each platform. There's a small milkshake link tree on my Instagram if someone wants to fill out some questionnaires. And I'm always open to direct messages and any type of conversation, even if it's a connection or networking. I love to communicate with like minds, be what I can as a difference and learn from other people as well. So those are the main platforms to reach me on now. And I really appreciate this, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate this too. Kurt, you're very motivational. This has been dynamite. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom and everything that you've learned, going through all your experiences. Really appreciate you joining us here on Health in the Real World.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate what you're doing, man. You're doing big things out there. You have been for a long time, a busy man with a big family, and getting this out there for people to see and create value. What you're doing is incredible.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.